How would you like the opportunity to work with a company that is using technology and science to literally change the world? Well, we found a company just like that, hidden in the countryside of Cambridgeshire, and we went to investigate. What do they do? Is there an opportunity for young people? And if so, what can you as a young person do to make the most of the opportunity? Welcome to the Early Career Show. So upon arriving at Paragraf, we chucked our lab coats on and got a tour of the labs. And let me tell you, if you're someone with even a slight interest in science, this will blow your mind. The sheer range of projects, of experiments going on, the energy in the room, the conversations between them back and forth was awesome. And even the atmosphere in each lab was different. Some had their background music, some were having deep chats. It was awesome. I got the opportunity to speak with Rob, Paragraf's talent development lead, to firstly find out, what on earth do Paragraf do?
So we're an electronic semiconductor device company focusing purely on graphene. So you think of a pencil, thousands and thousands of layers of graphene within that graphite of that pencil. So we're the first company in the world to be able to commercially produce and scale up production of graphene for devices that would go in electronics, automotive, phones, you name it, sensors, kind of you name it, we can potentially go anywhere really.
So it was quite clear that we're working with a pretty impressive technology here, but I wanted to get an idea of exactly how powerful is graphene?
Graphene is 1,000 times faster than silicon. So if we were to go into computer processors or anything like that, you think how quickly a computer could process that information 1,000 times faster than what's being used at the moment.
Then my computer, that's already pretty fast.
Yeah.
Wow.
More energy efficient, more conductive, it's flexible, so all the stuff you see kind of in, I don't know, futuristic movies, Mission Impossible stuff with the flexible kind of phones and all that, that's a potential in the future. You just never know where it's going to go.
So this is a company working with graphene, and you've got a unique, top secret way of making it applicable to everyday electronic devices and beyond. So learning about the company has been awesome, but what we really wanted to do was investigate behind the scenes and find out, is there an opportunity for young talent within Paragraf? Are you a company that takes that next generation, those young people coming in, quite seriously?
Yeah, there's always going to be that thing as succession planning. So whether that's as apprentices that we want to take more on, that's kind of looking at whether it's data science, computer science, electronics, equipment, kind of that side. If we can give people the learning and the platform of how a business operates at the size we are, while understanding the theory behind it while going to do a degree, you win-win. Because they're learning, they're implementing everything they're putting into theory into practice.
Got you.
That's then going to help add value to the business, that we want to constructively challenge what's going on in people's way of thinking. Because if you don't integrate new people, if you don't have different social mobility is massive. If we don't have people from different social mobility backgrounds, everyone's just going to think the same. So therefore, you're creating sort of a bit of a stagnation. So
it's clearly deeper than having young people in the company as a tick box exercise. Paragraf see young people as part of their succession plan, and Rob went a little bit deeper to explain the 3 types of thinking he wants young people to bring into the opportunity.
So different ways of thinking, natural thinking outside the box, creative thinking, constructive challenging. In theory and in practical sense, you should continue that innovation that the business wants to continue with.
So we can see Paragraf really respect the opinions and the thought processes that young people bring to the role. But we didn't want to just stop there. We went to meet some young people who are working for Paragraf currently to find out their views on the work they do, how they got in the position, and any advice that they have for young upcoming talent. We met with Milan, who's a 20-year-old sales engineer, Harry, a 21-year-old data science degree apprentice, and Jamie, a 20-year-old apprentice on the development team. There are many pathways to get to working for Paragraf. Internships seem to be a real vital part that played a role in each of the 3 young people's journeys. in getting into this company?
So I started off as an intern for 2 months, just over the summer. So like I said, the commercial team was just starting up. I think it was 6 months into having the sales director just employed. So yeah, started off, had the interview with him, seemed to like me. So stayed on for 2 months, had in that time to look at what I wanted to do for uni. Found the course that I'm on now, and they were happy with what I did, agreed for me to stay, and well, yeah.
Initially I joined as an intern, so it was set as a 3-month internship for me to sort of get to know what we do here, learn a bit more, so I was really excited about that. So yeah, I stayed here for 3 months, and then that progressed into a longer internship, and then that progressed into an apprenticeship, which started in 2022.
Okay, what's the goal of an internship? Because from the outside looking in, you hear internship, you think basically you go and volunteer and work for free.
Yeah, so I think it definitely depends what sort of internship you do, because there's many different types of internships. I knew that this was a really good opportunity to learn about a new field that I didn't even know existed, basically. So for me personally, it was an opportunity to see what happened, what the sort of STEM field looked like, and yeah, it just so happened to be the company that makes graphene. And
So you have this 3 months of being like, I didn't know this exists, let alone exists in Somersham,
yes,
and then agreed to extend it.
yeah, it was very scary when I first joined. Don't get me wrong. I had no idea what any of this fancy equipment did. I didn't know how even a company sort of works and operated, if you know what I mean. I never worked anywhere before other than in my local budgeons, stacking shelves and things. So yeah, it was a completely new insight into what even existed, mostly. Yeah.
One of the things that really struck me when I was investigating Paragraf was their approach to building a diverse team. You look at a company like this, technology, science, and you instantly create a picture in your head of the kind of person who works there. You know, someone who's loved science all their life. They had beakers in their buggies and Bunsen burners in their nursery playroom and went to the top universities. But actually, they had a really refreshing approach to the kind of people they bring into the team.
We want the right people in the business, and for us, fortunately, it's a diverse pool. So we've got people from different backgrounds. If they're coming from education, they're not all Russell Group. Okay. Sort of top 20s, we've got that diverse workload, but also apprentices. We want people to come in and understand how business operates.
Do you look for students who have excelled already, you know, during that GCSE phase, they've excelled in their sciences and that kind of thing? Or are you hiring on anything else?
Yeah, I mean, culture's a massive thing for us, but we need that foundation knowledge. So certain things like scientists, they're going to have to come with a certain amount of knowledge and fundamental understanding of what we're trying to do. Outside of that, it's culture. Like, culture's massive for us. We look for that. It's okay, not necessarily do they fit to the culture, but can they add to what we're trying to do? So whether that's, we're an autonomous business, we give people that kind of opportunity to go off and find their little way and have a reference point and a checkup. We're not micromanaging people. It's like, here's a project, here's the deadline, go off what you need to do to try and do it. And if you struggle or you want support in looking at data or anything like that, revert back. Yeah. That's the biggest thing. And I think if you spoke to our apprentices today, everyone knows everyone's name. Like, yeah, we're that size of business that in between departments everyone knows, everyone's happy. But yeah, it's kind of that inclusive role, inclusive nature.
Yeah, I learned pretty much everything I know through Paragraf. I think that's, you know, speaking on behalf of Paragraf, probably why they like employing apprentices and junior people, because they can train them and mould them into what they want them to be. Yeah. And so you learn absolutely everything you know through Paragraf.
So the idea that you need to be already on the ball, already, you know science, know tech really well is...
As long as you show yourself that you're willing to learn and you can be adaptable, you know, they can teach you.
What's it like working with people from so many different departments? You've got, like, for instance, engineers, etc.
Really interesting. Everyone's perspective on everything is different. It's interesting to see.
Is it naturally cliquey? Do they like stay over there and then they stay over there and you stay?
No, especially in a startup. Everyone's everywhere all at once. if you are interested in being all over the place at once and helping something grow very quickly, being intense, that's the environment for you.
Now, as a young person looking at such a ambitious, fast-paced company, you might be sat there thinking, well, where do I fit? Will I be taken seriously? So we asked these young people how they feel as 20-year-olds in a company surrounded by brilliant minds, and if they feel like they are taken seriously in their apprenticeship roles. What's a typical day look like for you? Are you there, doing the odd jobs and getting tea for people in those kind of roles? Or?
No, nobody has ever asked me to make tea for them, which is great, although a few people have teased me about it before, yeah. No, so as apprentice, as I started off, there's lots of sort of little odd jobs and helping out with other places, and as I sort of get more experience and knowledge, I'm getting more and more responsibilities now. So one of the things is I own the 3D printers here, so I do all the 3D printing in-house, which we use 3D printed parts to support all areas of the company. And then that's progressed into sort of even more responsibilities, where I now am starting to design using CAD, new pieces of test equipment, and build new pieces of test equipment that help us understand and characterize our graphene in a new way. So
wow.
Yeah.
So in that short space of time, you've gone from doing jobs in different departments, seeing what it's like, to actually here's your responsibility. And as a 20-year-old in this company, do you feel like you're taken as seriously as someone who is experienced in the industry in their 30s and their 40s?
Yeah, I think the main thing is being able to prove yourself. There's an initial onboarding and showing that you're capable of what a 30, 40, 50-year-old is capable of. But once you're past that, there's full trust.
If you show you're willing to learn and actually sort of put yourself out there on doing things for other people, you start gaining more and more responsibility because people actually know you can be trusted. So I was just doing that. We have an open floor science office. I was just asking questions to people, and they obviously must have liked it because I started gaining more and more responsibility. Never had to do one of those stereotypical get everyone coffee jobs. Never had to do any of that. So
I absolutely love that. I love that. That is everything I believe in. The company gives you the opportunity and brings you in the door. They train you up on what the company is about, let you see it from a million different angles, and then they give you the opportunity to go and prove yourself. And as you prove yourself, you get more trust, more responsibility, until, like we've seen here, you have the position and you have the freedom to go and create the future of that position in the way that you see fit. This is the kind of environment you want to be working in. So the company is awesome, the mission is clear, and the pace is rapid. We wanted to take a step back and find out exactly what kind of young person they are looking for to make the most of this opportunity. So we spoke with Gemma, who is the process development team leader and also mentor to Harry. She has seen this company's rapid growth over the last 3 years, and here's what she had to say.
So I was employee number 49 when I started, and I think we're now over 100 employees within the space of a couple of years. So quite a big growth.
What's it like being in an environment that's growing that quickly?
It's amazing. It's really fast paced. No 2 days are the same. You definitely do not get bored. There's so much to learn from people with such varied backgrounds. It's really great.
Fair. What's your background coming into this role?
So I studied forensic science at uni, and I worked in forensic science for a short time, and then I moved into kind of more semiconductor based industries, and then I worked within like a similar development role for 10-15 years before I came to Paragraf a couple of years ago.
Awesome. That's a big switch from forensic to what made you change?
If I'm honest, it was money.
Nice.
Yeah. So the forensic science services, it was my dream job, but it didn't pan out how I'd expected. So I got an opportunity to go to a different job with quite a big pay increase. So I took it, and and then I loved the role, and it kind of developed over quite a long time period. So and then I'm firmly in the semiconductor kind of like electronics industry now. There's no getting out of it.
They've got you, you're in, you like it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. If you could sort of design the perfect young person coming in, and you could give them one key attribute that they've absolutely smashed, what would that one be?
Just to approach everything with a positive attitude.
Okay.
because there are times, especially in science, when experiments don't go the way you plan, things don't work out how you'd expect. That doesn't mean anything's gone wrong. It just means it's not as you'd expected. So just to approach everything with a positive attitude, and take in all of the experiences that people are going to give to you.
So would you say that character is more important than the actual skill?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I'd say so, because like I say, in science, it's really easy to get bogged down and take bad results personally. But really, there are no bad results. Everything is teaching us something. We just might not have necessarily known what it was going to teach us at the time.
I love that. And finally, if you were able to sit in front of a class of young people, think about a future in STEM specifically, any advice you'd give them?
I would say do it. I love everything to do with science and engineering, and it's such a varied field that literally the possibilities are endless. So I mean, the skills are so transferable. You could start like I did in one type of science and realise that that's not really for you, and totally change field, still within science and engineering and the STEM subjects, and all of the skills that you've got are still applicable, and it makes you a much more flexible person. So yeah, it's great.
Fantastic. In listening to that explanation, I heard really clearly what Paragraf are looking for, but also there were some concepts there that are just good for life and developing that resilience as you continue to grow. So we asked everybody we spoke to give us one piece of advice for a young person sat down thinking, this sounds interesting. What can I work on in my everyday life now to prepare me for such an opportunity in the future? And here's what everybody had to say. Final piece, if you could sit with a young person, like year 9, year 10, think about their future, what's a piece of advice you would give when it comes to looking at the apprentice route?
I would just tell them to take every opportunity that comes their way, basically. I think that's the most important thing. Like, opportunities will find you, and you just have to put the effort in to take them. That's my main advice based off my experience.
What's the most important characteristic a young person needs to develop to be able to get into a position like this?
I can't say anything other than being comfortable with being uncomfortable, right?
And finally, of all the benefits that graphene could provide to the wider world, what's your favourite one?
Might be able to detect cancer. That's pretty cool.
Amazing. And all the people you've seen come in and do well, we've spoke to some really cool apprentices and lads started as an intern and got into a full role. What have been the key things that have made them stand out for you?
I think they've just immersed themselves into the business. They're not afraid to ask questions. I think Simon Sinek, used to say, like, be the idiot in the room. Like, always ask those questions. If you don't understand something, just keep asking those questions. Then you'll get the answers you want. So for the guys that have succeeded here, it's because yes, they work hard, they're interested in the business, they've shown that you've used their initiative, they've kind of gone out of their job role to kind of support where needed, but they integrate really well. They encompass what Paragraf is as a business.
Got you. That's one switch that I think a lot of people find scary. You go from this classroom where actually you want to be being correct. Every piece of work you're doing is getting graded and being told that's good enough or that's not good enough. There's this score that we're trying to get to within this set number of years. So then to hear that you can come here and actually just be like, why? Ask questions that show you don't know. Seems counterintuitive, because if I ask you this question, you're going to know that I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's
how everyone learns.
Welcome. So when it comes to applying for the company, you've got the traditional route, go on the website, application, send in a CV. A lot of people look at CVs and go, that's a lot of writing, and also with AI and people competing with ChatGPT CVs or companies even having their own AI reading CVs on behalf of people. It's hard to know if there's even a point. How do you see the first and foremost CVs? How do you treat them? Do you read them? Do you have a system that does it for you?
Yeah, I do everything. I read every CV that will come in from an application process. Okay. And then whoever's then selected, I'll have a call with them as like a pre-screening kind of call, get to understand a little bit more about them. From that side, talk a bit more about Paragraf as a business, what they know already, give them insight, and then if they're still keen, kind of things align a little bit more, then we can start a more formal kind of interview process where it's typically kind of a Teams interview, and then after that, if successful, come on site for a face-to-face tour of facilities. I mean, you've had a tour today, so normally, yeah, it's like an hour and a half with a tour and a meet the team and have a bit more of a technical interview depending on kind of the level as well. So every CV that comes through is personally reviewed. You've kind of got that personal touch rather than here's a CV, you're not been selected, or you have been selected, select a time for interview.
Yeah.
There's no personal touch, it's all automated. Yes, we do use some automation in our process to streamline it, but everywhere there's a touch point within an application, there'll be me behind it basically.
Okay.
Or someone in the team behind it.
You've got this world of social media where people are TikToking, selfies on Instagram. Then you've got this other world also of like LinkedIn. And I've personally been guilty of advising young people, look, go and find these people, go and find the early careers team on LinkedIn. Does that help? Are there other routes where people can get in touch with you other than the traditional website CV application process?
Yeah, LinkedIn, always happy to have a chat. Message me, connect with me, whatever. It's one of those where it might not be that we've got things happening, but I can give you a heads up and say that we've not got anything now, but in 6 months' time, we've got this coming up, let's catch up then. Then we can just add you to what we call our talent pool and then kind of message out to the relevant people when something pops up that could be would be of interest to them.
So ladies and gents, that concludes our investigation into the early careers opportunities here at Paragraf. We've seen apprentices, we've spoken to interns, and we've even heard from their mentors and head of recruitment to understand exactly what they are looking for in young people. So please, watch it a couple of times, take notes, understand that there are so many things that you're doing right now that will set you up for amazing opportunities, like working at a fast-paced, high-tech, world-changing company like this. And most importantly, understand that it is within your grasp if you're willing to put the work in. Thank you very much to Paragraf for allowing us to film today, and I hope you all have enjoyed this episode of the Early Career Show. Peace.